The call came at 2 in the morning. I remember because I was staring at the clock when my phone started buzzing on the nightstand, that harsh vibration against wood that sounds different at night. Louder. More urgent. Mr. Harrison? This is Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. Your daughter Michelle has been brought in. She's in critical condition. I sat up so fast my wife Sarah grabbed my arm. What happened? What's wrong with her? Sir, I can't give details over the phone, but you need to come now. She's in the ICU. Where's her husband? Where's Brian? There was a pause. We haven't been able to reach him yet. Are you able to come? I was already out of bed, pulling on pants. I'm in Denver. I'll be on the first flight out. Sarah was crying, asking questions I couldn't answer. Michelle was our only child, 31 years old, healthy, living her dream life in Miami, with her marketing job and her husband of 3 years. What could possibly have put her in the ICU? I booked a flight, leaving at 6 a.m. 4.5 hours of pacing, throwing things in a bag, checking my phone every 30 seconds. Sarah wanted to come, but someone had to stay and handle things. Call Michelle's work, figure out logistics. She made me promise to call the second I knew anything. The flight was torture. 5 hours of my mind running through every possibility. Car accident, random attack, some sudden medical thing nobody knew about. I kept texting Brian. No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. I landed at 1 p.m. Miami time and went straight to the hospital. Didn't even get a rental car. Just took an Uber and told the driver to hurry. Jackson Memorial's ICU was on the 4th floor. The nurse at the desk looked up my name, checked her computer, and her face did this thing. This little tightening around the eyes that meant bad news. Your daughter is in room 437. Dr. Patel will want to speak with you. Let me page him. Can I see her first? She nodded and led me down a hallway that smelled like antiseptic and fear. Through the window of 437, I could see Michelle, my little girl. Except she didn't look like my little girl. She was hooked up to more machines than I could count, tubes coming out of her arms, a ventilator breathing for her. Her face was pale, almost gray, and there were these dark circles under her eyes that looked like bruises. I pushed into the room. A nurse was checking one of the monitors. She looked up. I'm her father, I said. Mr. Harrison, I'm glad you're here. She gestured to a chair next to the bed. You can talk to her. We don't know how much she can hear, but family voices help. I sat down and took Michelle's hand. It was cold. Hey, sweetheart, it's Dad. I'm here now. You're going to be okay. But I didn't know if that was true. Dr. Patel came in 15 minutes later. Indian guy, maybe 40, with tired eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Mr. Harrison, thank you for coming so quickly. I'm Dr. Patel, the attending physician. What happened to my daughter? He closed the door. Michelle was brought in around midnight last night. A neighbor heard her dog barking frantically and called 911. When paramedics arrived, they found her on the kitchen floor, unconscious, having seizures. Seizures? Michelle's never had seizures. I know. We've run extensive tests. Her toxicology screen showed extremely high levels of antifreeze in her system. I stared at him. Antifreeze? Like, for cars? Ethylene glycol. Yes. It's odorless, slightly sweet. People sometimes ingest it accidentally, but the levels in Michelle's blood. Mr. Harrison. This appears to be deliberate poisoning over a period of several weeks. The room tilted. Someone poisoned my daughter? The damage to her kidneys and liver is extensive. We have her on dialysis, but, he paused, the next 72 hours are critical. If she survives, she'll likely need a kidney transplant. If she survives? My voice cracked. I'm sorry. We're doing everything we can. I couldn't breathe. Where's Brian? Her husband. Why hasn't he been here? Dr. Patel's expression changed. We haven't been able to reach him. Do you have a contact number? I've been calling all morning. Nothing. I pulled out my phone, tried again. Voicemail. The police will want to talk to you, Dr. Patel said quietly. Given the circumstances. Police. Because someone had poisoned my daughter. Deliberately. A detective arrived an hour later. Ramirez. Sharp-looking woman in her 40s, with a no-nonsense attitude. Mr. Harrison, I'm sorry about your daughter. I need to ask you some questions. Ask anything. Just find who did this. When was the last time you spoke to Michelle? 4 days ago. Sunday evening. She called to chat, like she does every week. How did she sound? Tired. She said she'd been feeling off for a few weeks. Nauseous, headaches, fatigue. She thought maybe she was working too hard. Ramirez wrote something down. Did she mention any problems at home? With her husband? No. She said Brian was away on business. Some conference in Orlando. I paused. Wait, is Brian a suspect? In poisoning cases, we always look at people closest to the victim first. Statistically, it's usually someone they know. Someone with access to their food and drinks. Brian. Sweet, charming Brian, who'd swept Michelle off her feet 4 years ago at some networking event. Financial consultant with a fancy firm, always impeccably dressed, always saying the right things. Sarah and I had liked him. Maybe not loved him, but he made Michelle happy. That's what mattered. Brian wouldn't, I started. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. He's been traveling a lot for work the past few months. Michelle mentioned it. She joked that she barely saw him. Do you know where he is right now? No. He's not answering his phone. Ramirez stood. We're trying to locate him. In the meantime, we've secured Michelle's house as a potential crime scene. Is there somewhere you can stay? I hadn't even thought about that. I'll get a hotel. She handed me her card. Call me if Brian contacts you, or if you remember anything that might be relevant. I spent the rest of the afternoon sitting with Michelle, holding her hand, talking to her about nothing and everything. Remember when you were 7 and wanted a puppy? Remember your first dance recital? Remember when you got into Columbia? I was so proud. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Michelle's best friend, Kara. Just heard about Michelle. Oh my God. Where is Brian? Have you reached him? I called her. Kara. It's Tom. No, I haven't reached Brian. Do you know where he is? No, but... She hesitated. Mr. Harrison, I need to tell you something. I've been worried about this for months, but Michelle told me I was being paranoid. My stomach dropped. What? Brian's been acting weird. Like, really weird. Going out at strange hours, being secretive with his phone. And Michelle mentioned he opened a bunch of new credit cards in both their names. She found the bills. How much debt? She didn't say exactly, but she was stressed about it. Said they got into a fight because he'd been spending money without telling her. After I hung up, I sat there in that hospital room, watching machines breathe for my daughter, and something cold settled in my chest. I called Detective Ramirez. I need to know where Brian is, right now. Mr. Harrison. My daughter's friend just told me he's been acting suspicious. Secret spending, weird behavior. You need to find him. We're working on it. His firm says he took personal days, not business travel. His phone's been off since yesterday afternoon. His car's not at their house. So he's just gone while my daughter is dying? We've put out a bolo. If he uses a credit card or his phone, we'll find him. I couldn't sleep that night. I got a hotel room near the hospital, but just sat on the bed, staring at the wall. At 3 a.m., I did what I probably should have done hours earlier. I called Gary Chen, my old partner from my years as a police detective in Denver before I retired. He'd gone private, runs a successful investigation firm now. Tom? Jesus, it's 3 a.m. I need help. Michelle's in the ICU. Someone poisoned her. Her husband's missing. I heard him sit up. Poisoned? What do you mean missing? I told him everything. When I finished, Gary was quiet for a moment. You think the husband did it? I don't know. But he's gone, Gary. She's dying, and he's nowhere. Give me his information. Full name, date of birth, social security if you have it. I'll start digging. I texted him everything I knew about Brian Phillips. Age 34. Worked for something called Premier Financial Consultants. Drove a black BMW. Lived at 2847 Coconut Grove Lane. Gary called back 2 hours later. Tom, You sitting down? Just tell me. Brian Phillips. Clean record, good credit until about 8 months ago. Then things get interesting. He started opening lines of credit. Lots of them. Credit cards, personal loans, a home equity line on the house. Always putting Michelle as co-signer. How much? Total? Pushing 200 grand in new debt. I felt sick. What's he spending it on? That's where it gets weird. Large cash withdrawals, wire transfers to offshore accounts, payments to cryptocurrency exchanges. He's moving money around, Tom. A lot of it. So he's stealing from her. Looks like it. But here's the kicker. I pulled Michelle's employment records. She makes good money, right? Marketing director? Around $120,000 a year. Right. But did you know she recently inherited money? I frowned. What? From who? Her grandmother on Sarah's side. Passed away 14 months ago. Left Michelle $750,000. I actually gasped. What? Sarah never told me. Michelle never mentioned. It went into a trust account. Michelle got access to it 6 months ago when the estate settled. $750,000. Michelle had inherited $750,000 and never said a word. Why? Gary, where's that money now? That's what I'm working on. Give me a few hours. I went back to the hospital. Michelle looked the same. Dr. Patel did his rounds, checked the machines, adjusted something. Her kidneys were failing faster than they'd hoped. They were talking about whether to move her to the transplant list, but she had to be stable first. Around noon, Detective Ramirez found me in the waiting room. We located Brian's car. Where? Extended stay parking at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Been there since yesterday morning. He flew somewhere? We're pulling flight manifests now. She paused. Mr. Harrison, we executed a warrant for your daughter's financial records. There's been significant movement of money from her accounts over the past 6 months. I know. I have someone looking into it. She gave me a sharp look. You hired a private investigator. Gary Chen. He's good. Better than good. And I trust him. We're running our own investigation. And I'm sure you're doing great work, Detective, but that's my daughter in there. I'm not sitting around waiting. She didn't argue. Share anything you find. We're on the same side here. Gary called at 2 p.m. Tom, I got into Michelle's financial records. It's bad. How bad? The inheritance money? Almost all of it's gone. $750,000 down to about $60,000. Transferred out over the past 4 months in chunks. $50,000 here, $80,000 there, always just under the reporting thresholds. Where did it go? Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Cryptocurrency wallets. Some to a business called Phillips Holdings LLC, registered 2 months ago. Guess who owns it? Brian. And one Ashley Morrison, age 28, works at the same financial firm as Brian. The name meant nothing to me. Who's Ashley Morrison? I'm sending you a photo now. My phone buzzed. I opened the image. Pretty blonde, late 20s, big smile, standing next to Brian in what looked like a restaurant photo. They were close. Too close. Where did you get this? Her Instagram. She posts a lot. And Tom, there's more. I'm sending you another photo. This one was dated 5 days ago. Brian and Ashley on a beach somewhere tropical. Her caption, Paradise with my favorite person. My hands started shaking. While Michelle was being slowly poisoned, her husband was on vacation with another woman. Gary, where are they right now? Working on it. But Tom, I ran Ashley's financials too. She just put a down payment on a condo in Grand Cayman 2 weeks ago. $500,000. Cash. Michelle's inheritance money. Brian had stolen my daughter's inheritance and used it to buy his mistress a condo in the Caribbean. I stood up, pacing the waiting room. An elderly couple watching TV looked over, worried. Gary, I need to know where they are. Now. I'm tracking credit card usage. Last charges were, I heard him typing, yesterday afternoon, Fort Lauderdale. Restaurants, gas station, then parking at the airport. Ramirez said his car's at Fort Lauderdale. Makes sense. They flew out together. I'm cross-referencing flight manifests. Hang on. I waited. Each second felt like an hour. Got it. Brian Phillips and Ashley Morrison. United Flight 1842 yesterday at 4 p.m. Destination, Grand Cayman. They ran. Looks like it. And Tom, there's something else you need to know. What? I got into Brian's internet search history from his laptop. It's still connected to their home Wi-Fi, so I could access the cloud backup. 3 weeks ago, he was searching things like signs of ethylene glycol poisoning and how long does antifreeze poisoning take. I actually saw red. The waiting room went fuzzy at the edges. He researched how to poison her. Yeah, and there's more searches. Life insurance payout for accidental death and spouse inheritance laws, Florida. He was going to kill her. Brian had been slowly poisoning my daughter, planning to kill her, steal her inheritance, and run away with his mistress. Gary, I need you to send everything you found to Detective Ramirez. Right now. Already compiling it. Tom, one more thing. Michelle had life insurance through her work. Beneficiary is Brian, $1 million. So the inheritance wasn't enough. He wanted the life insurance too. I called Ramirez immediately. I know where Brian is. Grand Cayman. And I know who he's with. I forwarded Gary's evidence. Photos, financial records, search history, everything. Jesus, Ramirez breathed. We need to get extradition started. How long will that take? Days, maybe a week. Michelle might not have a week. I understand, but there's protocol. Then work faster. I hung up and went back to Michelle's room. She looked smaller somehow, fragile. The machines beeped their steady rhythm. A nurse came in to check her IV. Any change? I asked. She gave me a sympathetic look. Not yet, but she's fighting. I sat down and took Michelle's hand again. I know what happened, sweetheart. Brian did this. Him and that woman. But I'm going to make sure they pay. I promise you that. That evening, Sarah called. I told her everything. She cried so hard she couldn't speak for several minutes. How could he? She finally managed. How could he do this to her? Money. That's all it ever is. The inheritance from my mother. I told Michelle not to tell Brian about it. I had a bad feeling about him, Tom. I should have insisted. This isn't your fault. I should have protected her. So should I. But we can't change the past. We can only make sure he pays for what he did. The next 2 days were the hardest of my life. Michelle's condition worsened. Her kidneys failed completely. She developed an infection. Dr. Patel sat me down and talked about end-of-life decisions. Did Michelle have a living will? What were her wishes? I wanted to scream. She was 31 years old. She shouldn't need a living will. But Gary and Ramirez were working. Warrants were issued. The FBI got involved since it crossed international borders. Money laundering, wire fraud, attempted murder. The charges were piling up. On day 3, Ramirez called. We have them. Cayman Islands police arrested Brian and Ashley this morning. They're fighting extradition, but it won't matter. We have too much evidence. When will they be back? Couple of days. We're expediting everything we can. That afternoon, Michelle opened her eyes. I was sitting there, half dozing in the chair, when I heard her make a sound. A small groan. I jumped up. Michelle? Sweetheart? Her eyes fluttered open, confused, scared. She tried to talk, but the ventilator tube was in the way. I hit the call button. She's awake! She's awake! Nurses flooded the room. Dr. Patel came running. They were doing checks, asking Michelle to squeeze hands, follow lights with her eyes. She was groggy, disoriented, but she was conscious. Dr. Patel turned to me, smiling for the first time since I'd met him. This is good. This is very good. They removed the ventilator 2 hours later. Michelle could barely whisper, her throat raw from the tube, but she could talk. Dad? I was crying, didn't even care. I'm here, baby. I'm right here. What happened? You were sick. Really sick. But you're getting better now. Brian? She looked around the room. Where's Brian? I glanced at Dr. Patel. He nodded slightly. Michelle, honey, there's a lot to tell you. But right now, you just need to focus on getting better. Dad, where's Brian? Her voice was getting stronger, more insistent. I took her hand. He's not here. Michelle, Brian did this to you. Her face went confused. Did what? Someone poisoned you. Put antifreeze in your food or drinks over several weeks. The police have evidence. It was Brian. I watched the emotions cross her face. Disbelief, denial. Then, slowly, horrible understanding. No, she whispered. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. The smoothies, she said suddenly. He made me smoothies every morning. Said they'd help with my energy. They tasted weird, but he said it was the protein powder. I felt sick. That's probably how he did it. Tears started running down her face. Why? I didn't want to tell her. Not yet, but she deserved the truth. Your inheritance. And your life insurance. He was having an affair with a coworker. They took your money and ran to the Cayman Islands. She stared at me. Ashley, you know her? She works with Brian. I met her at the Christmas party. She was friendly. Really friendly. Michelle's face crumpled. Oh my God. How long? We don't know yet. At least a few months. She cried then. Deep, wrenching sobs that made the monitors beep warnings. The nurses came back in, gave her something to calm her down. She fell asleep holding my hand. Over the next week, Michelle slowly got stronger. Her kidneys started working again, though Dr. Patel said she'd need monitoring for the rest of her life. She'd never be at full capacity, but she was alive. Sarah flew out. We took turns sitting with Michelle, helping her through the physical recovery and the emotional devastation. The betrayal was almost worse than the poisoning. The man she'd loved, trusted, married, had tried to kill her for money. Brian and Ashley were extradited after a 5-day fight. The Cayman Islands was happy to hand them over. The evidence was overwhelming. The forensic accountant, the FBI, brought in traced every dollar. $750,000 from the inheritance. $50,000 from Michelle's savings. Another $180,000 from the credit cards and loans Brian had taken out in both their names. Nearly $1 million, stolen and hidden offshore. They found the antifreeze too, a bottle hidden in Brian's car, his fingerprints on it. More in the garage at home, with Michelle's DNA on the rim where he'd poured it. The trial was 8 months later. I sat in that courtroom every single day. So did Sarah and Michelle. We watched as the prosecution laid out the case piece by piece. The affair had started a year earlier. Ashley and Brian met at a company retreat. She was ambitious, wanted the high life. He was willing to do anything to give it to her. When Michelle inherited the money, Brian saw his opportunity. He convinced her to give him access to the accounts, said he'd invest it for her. Instead, he drained it. But it wasn't enough. The life insurance policy was worth $1 million. If Michelle died, it would all be his. He researched ethylene glycol poisoning, learned it was hard to detect, that symptoms mimicked other illnesses. He started slow, small amounts in her morning smoothies, just enough to make her sick. The plan was perfect. Michelle would get sicker and sicker. Eventually, she'd have a catastrophic organ failure, tragic accident. Young woman poisoned by automotive antifreeze, probably from contaminated food at a restaurant or something environmental. No one would suspect her loving husband. Except he got greedy, started moving too much money too fast. And when Michelle's condition became critical, instead of playing the devastated husband, he ran, grabbed Ashley, and fled to the Cayman Islands with Michelle's stolen inheritance. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Brian got 22 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole. Ashley got 18 years as an accessory to attempted murder and conspiracy to commit fraud. The condo in Grand Cayman? Seized. The offshore accounts? Frozen and returned. Michelle got back about 80% of her stolen money after legal fees. The rest was gone, spent on Brian and Ashley's fantasy life. I watched them take Brian away in handcuffs. He looked at me once. I stared back. Didn't blink. Didn't feel anything but cold satisfaction. Ashley cried. Kept saying she didn't know. She thought Michelle had given Brian the money. The jury didn't believe her. Neither did I. After the sentencing, Michelle, Sarah, and I stood outside the courthouse. Media was everywhere. Cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. We didn't answer any of them. Michelle squeezed my hand. It's over. Yeah, it's over. Thank you, Dad. For everything. For flying out here. For finding out the truth. For sitting with me every day. You never have to thank me for that. You're my daughter. That's what fathers do. She started crying again. Sarah put her arm around her. We stood there together. 3 people who'd survived something terrible. Michelle's recovering. Physically, she'll always have issues. The kidney damage is permanent. She takes medication every day, has to be careful about what she eats and drinks. But she's alive. Emotionally, it's harder. She's in therapy twice a week, has trust issues, understandably. She moved back to Denver, lives with us while she rebuilds her life. Got a new job at a marketing firm downtown. She's slowly becoming herself again. Sometimes I think about that phone call at 2 in the morning. How my entire world changed in an instant. How close we came to losing her. And I think about the signs we missed. The sudden business trips. The secretive behavior. The new spending. Michelle mentioned it to me once, months before she got sick. Said Brian was being weird about money. I told her all couples fight about finances. I brushed it off. I should have listened. Should have asked more questions. Should have trusted my instincts. That's what I tell people now when they ask what happened. Trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Ask questions. Demand answers. Protect the people you love. And for God's sake, keep your finances separate. Don't give anyone complete access to your money. Don't co-sign loans without knowing exactly where the money's going. Don't assume the person you love would never hurt you, because sometimes they will. For money, for greed, for a person they want more than they want you. And by the time you realize what's happening, it might be too late. Michelle almost died. Almost left us because a man she trusted decided she was worth more dead than alive. But we got lucky. She survived. We found the truth. Justice was served. Not everyone gets that chance. So I'm telling you this story as a warning. Pay attention. Question things that don't make sense. Protect yourself and the people you love. Because evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like the person who makes you smoothies every morning. And by the time you taste the poison, it's already inside you. Michelle's alive today because a neighbor heard a dog barking. Because doctors asked the right questions. Because I didn't stop digging until I found the truth. That's how close it was. A dog barking. That's what saved my daughter's life. So trust me when I say this. Never assume you're safe. Never assume someone loves you too much to hurt you. And never, ever let your guard down when it comes to your life and your money. We learned that lesson the hard way. I hope you never have to.